Dispute resolution, part of the IDEA Accessibility Project, created by Advocates for Justice and Education and funded by the DC Developmental Disabilities Council. What happens when you disagree with something in your child's special education process? Let's say you're at the annual IEP meeting and it's time to agree on the final draft. But there's something you disagree with. Good news, it's okay to disagree. Disagreement is built into the special education system. There is a mechanism to resolve those disagreements. It doesn't mean the school is bad or the parent is bad. There is just something that needs to be resolved for the child's needs to be met. With the right to disagree comes the right to share your side and try to convince others that your perspective is more appropriate than the school's. The dispute resolution process for IDEA is only related to special education. This video will help you with issues related to identification, evaluation, programming, and placement for your child's special education. This is not for disputing grades or other school issues. Special education dispute resolution is a process by which educators and parents resolve disagreements about an aspect of a child's education and allows educators and parents to come to a consensus regarding what solutions will best help the child learn. If you disagree with your child's evaluation, don't understand the evaluation, or disagree with an action taken or decision made by the school, there are steps you can take to make it right. The purpose of dispute resolution is to figure out what solutions are best for the child and their learning goals. There are 3 forms of dispute resolution you can pursue. You can request an independent education evaluation, or IEE. You can file a state complaint, or you can file a due process complaint. Now let's explore what each of these mean. First up, an independent education evaluation. To help you understand when to request an IEE, here's an example. You are a parent of a child with an IEP, and it has been 3 years since they were last evaluated, so it's time for a reevaluation. Your child completes the evaluation, and you get the results, but you disagree with what was found. In their previous IEP, your child was receiving ABA therapy and speech therapy through the school. The school conducts the evaluation and finds that your child no longer needs speech therapy, but you disagree. You feel that your child still needs and should receive speech therapy. This is when you can consider getting an IEE. An IEE is an evaluation conducted by a qualified examiner who is not employed by the LEA or your local education agency responsible for the education of your child. You typically request an IEE for your child to get a second opinion outside of the school on the school's evaluation, or if you disagree with the school's outcomes, to have an outside agency perform an evaluation. You have the right to obtain an IEE if you disagree with the results of your child's evaluation completed by the LEA. If you request an IEE, the LEA involved must provide you with information about where you may obtain an IEE and about the LEA's criteria that apply to independent education evaluations. When you disagree with the school's evaluation, you have the right to an IEE for your child at public expense. The LEA can either file a due process complaint to request a hearing to show that its evaluation of your child is appropriate, or they provide an IEE at public expense. We'll talk about what due process is in our next video. It is important to know that you are entitled to only one IEE of your child at public expense each time the LEA conducts an evaluation of your child with which you disagree. If the LEA requests a hearing and the final decision is that the LEA's evaluation of your child is appropriate, you still have the right to an IEE, but not at public expense. As long as the independent evaluation meets the LEA's criteria, the LEA must consider the results of the independent evaluation of your child in any decision made with respect to the provision of your child's free, appropriate public education, or FAPE. If you get an independent education evaluation for your child, but the issue is still not resolved, the issue you're having may not be best addressed by getting an IEE. Not every issue can be solved through an IEE. If your disagreement is not specifically about your evaluation, you might want to consider filing a state complaint or a due process complaint. In our next video, we will go through what filing other complaints looks like. That video is called Dispute Resolution Part 2. You can find our information here. Email us, call us, visit our website, and continue with this video series to make sure you know all of your rights as a parent of a child with a disability and how to best support your child throughout the special education process. The DC Developmental Disabilities Council is supported by the Administration for Community Living, ACL, U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, HHS, as part of a financial assistance award totaling $527,570 with 100% funding by ACL HHS. Council efforts are those of the grantee and do not necessarily represent the official views of, nor an endorsement by ACL HHS or the U.S. government.